Space is silent, not peaceful, not calm, silent like a grave. And in that endless dark, a human warship drifted, powerless, broken, alone. Its name? ISS Resolute. Hull torn open, engines dead, life support flickering. Inside, General Elias Varick sat in the command chair, helmet off, oxygen thin, watching stars move slowly past the shattered observation window. 300 crew. Now, 19 survivors. No distress beacons answered, because this was not mapped space, this was beyond civilization, and the galaxy had already decided what humans were. Death worlders, unstable, violent, dangerous, not worth saving. Ships passed, dozens, some massive, some elegant, some mechanical monstrosities of steel and light. Everyone scanned the human vessel. Everyone slowed, everyone paused, then left. No message, no warning, no aid, because helping a death worlder was considered a death sentence. Inside the Resolute, the air was growing thin. A medic collapsed. Another followed. Food was gone. Water recycled to its final cycle. And still, General Varick did not call Earth, because doing so would reveal humanity's position to unknown territories. Protocol demanded silence. He would die out here before risking Earth. That was the kind of species humans were. Dangerous, loyal, unreasonable. 3 days later, another ship approached, not large, not armored. Organic curves instead of metal. Glowing patterns across its hull like living light. It slowed, it scanned, it stayed. Inside the Resolute, alarms flickered. Foreign vessel holding position. No weapons lock, no communication, just waiting. Then something impossible happened. A message arrived, soft, hesitant, translated imperfectly. Unknown travelers, are you in distress? No species had asked that, not one. Varick stared at the console. His bridge crew stared at him. Everyone knew what this meant. If they answered, Earth's existence risked exposure. If they didn't, they would die. He pressed transmit. Human vessel. Multiple casualties, engines destroyed. Silence. Long. Heavy. Then the reply, we will assist. Every human on the bridge froze, because no one helped Deathworlders. No one. Docking clamps connected. Airlocks opened. And the Illyrian stepped aboard. Tall, slender. Bioluminescent patterns shifting like emotions across their skin. No armor, no weapons, just medical packs and tools. They moved gently through the ruined corridors, treating wounds, sharing oxygen, stabilizing reactors. One Illyrian paused near a human marine missing an arm. They didn't recoil, didn't show fear. They just placed a glowing hand on his shoulder and stayed there, comforting. No species had ever touched a human like that. General Varick watched them work. Confused, suspicious, grateful. Why? He finally asked their leader. The Illyrian tilted their head. Light rippled softly along their skin. Because you are alive. That was their entire reasoning. No politics, no fear, no calculation, just empathy. It took 12 hours. They restored oxygen, repaired emergency thrusters, transferred supplies, stabilized the wounded. And before leaving, the Illyrian leader spoke again. You are not monsters. You are just alone. Then they departed. No demands, no alliances, no expectations, just kindness. 3 days later, the sanctions began. Galactic channels exploded. The Treskar Combine condemned the Illyrians. The Vorn Dominion labeled them traitors. The Silith traders cut all routes. Helping Deathworlders was forbidden, and the Illyrians had broken that rule. Their trade collapsed, their borders isolated, their worlds suddenly vulnerable. And still, they never once blamed the humans. On Earth, the signal finally arrived. General Varick's data logs, Footage, medical scans, cultural recordings, everything. The room went silent. Military command, political leaders, scientific councils, all watching the same clip. An Illyrian placing a glowing hand on a wounded human shoulder. No fear, no hesitation, just compassion. Earth had never seen another species show that. Never. And something ancient stirred inside humanity, a debt. The file was labeled Species Illyrian. Status protected. No announcement, no declaration. Just one classified line added to Earth's war doctrine. Any threat to Illyrian civilization is now considered a direct threat to humanity. And then, humanity waited. Because history had taught them something simple. The universe always punishes kindness. And when it did, humans would be ready. The first thing the Illyrians lost wasn't trade, it wasn't fuel, it wasn't medicine, it wasn't even allies. The first thing they lost was silence. Because the moment the galaxy learned they had helped a Deathworlder, their star system stopped feeling like home and started feeling like a cage with glass walls, watched by a trillion fearful eyes. Every relay station lit up with warnings. Every public channel replayed the same accusation in 1,000 languages. They aided the predators from the death world. They fed the fire. They endangered all civilized space. And the Illyrians, gentle, luminous, careful beings, stood in the center of it, blinking like a lantern in a storm. They had committed the galaxy's most unforgivable crime. They had been kind. The sanctions came in waves. First, the Treskar Combine issued the formal condemnation, cold, legal, absolute. Their broadcast was delivered by a metallic voice with no emotion and no pause. By galactic consensus, the Illyrian conquered is hereby placed under isolation measures. All trade routes are suspended. All medical shipments are terminated. All transit permissions revoked. Any vessel entering Illyrian space will be seized. Then came the Silith nomads, who didn't condemn with speeches. They condemned by leaving. Freighters vanished from Illyrian docks overnight. Market stations that once glowed with commerce went dark. Contracts were torn up, credits frozen, no insults, no anger, just quiet abandonment. Like a friend stepping away from a burning building. Worst of all was the Vorn Dominion. They did not hide their disgust. They sent a war envoy, a single cruiser with a blood-red emblem, into Illyrian border space, just close enough to be seen, just far enough to remain legal. And they transmitted one sentence, a sentence that was meant to be remembered. Mercy is a weapon you handed to death. The cruiser lingered for a day like a threat carved into the stars. Then it left, but its message stayed, and fear settled into the Illyrian worlds like frost. On the capital world of Illyria Prime, the skies were still beautiful. They were always beautiful. Soft bands of violet and pale gold, clouds like brushed silk, oceans that held the light like glass. But the cities changed. They became quieter. Not because Illyrians liked quiet, they always had. They became quiet because the sounds of trade stopped. The rhythm of incoming ships, docking seals, market bells, cargo lifts, greetings in 100 languages. All of it faded. And in the quiet, the Illyrians finally heard something else. The slow, inevitable heartbeat of vulnerability. Their leaders gathered in the conquered hall, a living structure grown from coral-like crystal that carried sound gently, respectfully. No one shouted. No one slammed tables. Illyrians didn't do that. Their emotions rippled across their skin in shifting colors, blues for concern, silvers for contemplation, warm golds for hope. But now, hope was rare. 1,000 delegates stood in rings, facing the center. At the center stood Speaker Leora Viel, the Illyrian who had ordered the rescue of General Varric's drifting warship. Leora's skin held a steady, weary white, an Illyrian sign of responsibility carried too long. She spoke calmly. "We saved lives." A murmur moved through the hall, soft like wind through leaves. "We acted as we have always acted," Leora continued. "We saw suffering, and we answered." Someone, an elder delegate, asked the question that the entire galaxy had already screamed at them. "Did we invite disaster?" Leora paused. Her patterns dimmed. "We invited truth," she said, "that even a death worlder can be abandoned, and even a gentle world can be punished." Outside the Conquered Hall, Illyrian citizens didn't riot. They didn't burn buildings. They didn't hunt scapegoats. They worried. They gathered in small groups, holding hands, sharing light and quiet comfort, while their supply networks began to fracture. The Treskar Combine had provided industrial components. The Silith had provided fuel logistics and trade distribution. The Vorn, reluctantly, had provided a security buffer simply by existing nearby. Now all of that was gone, and the galaxy, in its fear of humans, had done something crueler than violence. It had turned away. The first shortage hit the outer colonies. Illyrian settlements were not militarized. Their distant habdomes were built for research, for gardens, for art, for scientific listening arrays. They weren't built for isolation. Power cells began to fail. Medical nanofilters degraded. Synthetic nutrient vats emptied faster than they could be replenished. In the colony of Serene 9, a pediatric ward dimmed to emergency lighting. A nurse, glowing faintly in the low light, held an infant whose chest rose in uneven breaths. The child wasn't dying from war. The child was dying from a supply chain that the galaxy had severed like a rope. And every Illyrian who saw it understood the new rule of civilization. Kindness has a price. Across the stars, General Elias Varric watched all of this in silence. He was back within Earth's hidden range now, returning under a cloak route that avoided known relays. He stood in a secure room with Earth's highest defense council. He didn't speak during the first briefing. Because the footage on the screen wasn't battle, it was politics. It was sanctions, trade logs, intercepted broadcasts and economic shutdowns. Numbers, charts, a slow strangulation. One of the human analysts said, "They're cutting them off." A diplomat said, "To isolate them." A general, older, scarred, said something simpler, "To soften them." Everyone looked at him. He pointed at the projections. No one sanctions a species this hard unless they believe it will be useful later. The galaxy isn't just punishing them, they're making them weak. Varric's jaw tightened. He remembered the Illyrian hand on his marine's shoulder. He remembered the soft message, "We will assist." And he realized something that made his blood run cold. The Illyrians weren't being punished because they helped humans. They were being punished because the galaxy could, because they were gentle, because they were safe to hurt. Earth did not send a fleet. Not yet. Earth did not make speeches. Earth did not threaten anyone. Because Earth had learned a long time ago that announcing yourself too soon is how you die. Instead, Earth sent something else. Eyes. In deep space, beyond common lanes, hidden observation platforms unfolded like black petals. Stealth probes drifted into position along the Illyrian border, their hulls colder than the background radiation. And in the dark, a classified protocol file was opened again. Guardian Species, Illyrian Conquered. Status, Observe/Prepare. A new line appeared beneath it, written by someone who understood the human species better than anyone. If they fall, we lose more than allies. We lose proof that the galaxy can be better.